Bully Kutta is a Molosser type dog which is found largely in India and Pakistan. Bully in its name actually comes from the Punjab or Hindu Urdu word burly, meaning heavily wrinkled, and Kutta means dog. Bully Kutta is also known as the Indian Mastiff, who are aloof and do not like to tolerate strangers, of course unless they are well socialized, as we promised to do with the UK Bully Kutta. The Bully Kutta is also sometimes referred to as a Sindh Mastiff, with a generic rubric name of South Asian Mastiff. They were found in India even, and I stress even, before the British colonial rule, and were used primarily for sporting purposes. They are typically found today in areas in India and some rural parts of Pakistan. While they are starting to get worldwide attention, it is because of their size and strength and loyalty that these dogs find themselves in the hands of unscrupulous characters who choose to use them for dogfighting. In history, at around 2,500 years ago, there were three different types of Mastiff breeds found in and around the areas of Persia and India. These breeds primarily were the Asian Mastiff, the Indian Mastiff, and the Eland. One of the best known dogs at that time was the Assyrian dog, which were used as a hunting and guarding dog. When the Assyrian Empire crumbled, the Medes and the Persians, the first true rulers of ancient Iran, and all the huntsmen kings of the Orient, gave huge payments for these magnificent dogs, whose roles seems to have been as important as that of the greyhound in the history of the canine race. At Shush Fortress in southwestern Iran, there is a form of these dogs, which are predominantly black in color, that gallops for hunting with some riders. The Persian army used the Indian dogs, mastiffs, just for guarding and not for suicide jobs. Herodotus, a famous Greek author born circa 484 BC, writes in his book that heavy, powerful dogs, in quotes, Indian mastiffs, were introduced into Greece by the legendary Xerxes the First when he marched towards his country. Alexander the Great, on his return from India. That's Alexander the Great on his return from India. This phrase here has a massive implication into the arguments now that it was the British colonial settlers that actually were responsible for creating this breed. This has no true fabric. Alexander the Great, on his return from India, brought back a very similar type of dog. These magnificent Indian Mastiffs originated in and around the desert area of Kutch, the Rajasthan area and Balpur area of Punjab. A part of the Kutch area in Rajasthan was under the Sindh district, and hence the other name of this breed is Sindh Mastiff. At present, a part of the Sindh area now falls under Pakistan, and so does the Balpur area. This breed is not to be confused with the Hyrcanian breed, which was also prevalent in the Indian zone. The Hyrcanians were basically wild dogs, which were cattle killers. Later, they were used as war dogs by the armies of Alexander the Great. These Hyrcanians came down to more deeper inside India, inside the Kumaon district, to become the Kumaon Mastiff, also known as the Cypriot Cocker. Alongside the common Mastiff, the Indian Mastiffs were used for hunting large games. But a sudden change in the hunting practice saw the Indian royal families to use cheetahs for hunting instead. These, to a large extent, took out the Sindh Mastiff out of their jobs and turned them into guard dogs and, sadly, dogs used for fighting. With time, most people forgot the breeds, and the common Mastiff became rare, and so did the Indian Mastiff, the Sindh Mastiff. The people who fought the Indian Mastiff dropped its height a couple of inches for performance sake. And here lies the truth. It's at the point where the height of this breed, of the Sin Mastiff, that we are today referring to as the Bully Kutta, it was at the point that the height was being dropped by the introduction of such breeds as the English Bull Terrier by colonial settlers. That's when the bloodline became corrupt. So the argument now of how this breed was created, it's pretty clear there was a systematic movement. It was when the dogfighting aspect of this breed became a sporting event that they introduced dogs such as a Bull Terrier. I don't think just for its height, but for its absolute pain tolerance into this breed. That's when we had the mixing of the Indian Mastiff, the Sin Mastiff, with the European bloodlines of such breeds as a Bull Terrier and possibly other English Mastiffs. I still personally believe that there are purer lines of Sin Mastiffs. The coining of Bully Kutta in Pakistan is a phrase used for all dogs really that are used in tournaments. Tournaments are a big deal, very much like our football here. Whether you think it's right or wrong, it's in their culture there. I personally don't condone dogfighting for whatever reason. The point that I am trying to also sort of put across in this is that the purity of, shall I now not use the term Bully Kutta and use the term Sin Mastiff, you can still, and I believe I have some very pure Sin Mastiffs. I think that the Bully Kutta, we need to also focus on the Gulter, which I think really is the mix of the Sin Mastiff, the Indian Pakistani Mastiff, with breeds such as the Bull Terrier, English Mastiffs, Boxers apparently. I think that really is what gave rise to the Gulter, who are in Pakistan, I believe, a legendary fighter. I believe that when you see a Sin Mastiff, which yes, I can still understand the coining of Bully Kutta, when you see a more lighter boned, taller, more athletic, less jowly, less mastiffy type dog, which I believe Trixie is, that to me, I'm not saying is a purist bloodline, but it's certainly a purer bloodline and taking us back to the original form of what this breed in history would have looked like. And hence why I feel that my dogs that I have imported are a lot more sociable. Because their out and out inherent desire to fight is something that is not bred in. It's not been brought out. Whether I'll be surprised later on as they grow, it's something that I will report back to you. The Bully Kutta has a short, smooth coat that is usually predominantly white in colour. However, you can also get such colours as fawn, black, red, with also brindle markings. The brisket is deep and the limbs are well muscled. The back is long with the tail tapering to a very fine point. The tail of this breed is very ambidextrous, very fluid, and it's a unique feature to the breed. The ears are set high on a brick-shaped skull. It has a long and graceful stride, very majestic in its movement, very, very agile. The males vary from 29 and yes, up to 34 to 35 inches, and females from about 26 to 31 inches tall. They usually weigh 150 to 170 pounds, and some of the males can reach up to 200 pounds plus. They are a muscular, athletic and highly trainable dog. It is interesting, in the Western world we've coined this majestic breed the beast from the east.